So yeah, you get the marker, go up there, write it. Once you get your answer, we're not saying if it's right or wrong yet. We'll go back and analyze it in a bit. So here are all the answers, okay? And you guys might be thinking, well, could it be more than one answer? Yeah, it could be more than one answer. For example, you could say that the square root of 4 is rational because that makes sense, right? The square root of 4 is 2. So if we think about the square root of 4, the answer is 2. And 2 is definitely rational. But it's more than rational. It's also a integer. It's also a whole number. It's also a natural number. So you want to be as specific as possible. That's why we wrote down natural as the correct answer, okay? So yeah, number 6, pi is crazy. It's irrational. So is the square root of any non-perfect square number. That's also irrational. This is a decimal, and any decimal or fraction, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, is called, wait, I wrote down integer. That's incorrect. That's called rational. Now, the reason why it's not integer, it's easy to make the mistake and think that it's integer because integer is where you first introduce negative signs. And this has a negative sign. But it's not an integer, it's a decimal. And any decimal or any fraction is called a rational number. You guys get it? Okay, so that was a class opener. There is going to be maybe about 4 questions of these on the quiz. We're going to take the quiz next week. We're not going to do it this Friday after all. We're going to do it next week. And in addition to that, we're also going to have something like this where I give you a diagram of real numbers. Okay, you don't have to copy this down right now, but I do want you guys to talk to a partner and determine what kind of numbers are these in this group. What kind of numbers are these? These over here, these over here, these over here. All right, and I'm also going to number them. I'm going to number them. This is number 1. This is going to be number 2. This is going to be number 3, number 4, and number 5. So we're going to ask some volunteers to come and fill up the correct answer right there for number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the name of those different groups. So go ahead and take the next 30 seconds, talk to a partner, and determine what those names are. So here are all the correct answers. Thank you for writing them in for me. Just a quick review. You learned the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 naturally, right? When you're a little baby, or not a baby, but a little kid, you started to learn how to count first. So the inside one is natural, and then you grew up a little, you realized that the number 0 exists, which means nothing, right? And the number 0 is the number with the greatest hole in it. Get it? Get it? Hole, 0, okay. So it's the number with the greatest hole in it. So that's when we have whole numbers. And then you grew up a little more and you realize not all numbers are nice. They're not all positive. There's some that are negative, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, and you also have -1, -2, -3, and it goes forever in both directions. We call this group integers. Then you grew up a little more and realized that not all numbers are perfectly nice, positive, and negative. Sometimes you end up with, instead of a 1, 2, 3, you might end up with a 2.5 or a 2.9 or a 3.1 or a fraction like 1/2 or 3/4 or 5/8. And those fractions or decimals are called rational numbers because inside the word rational is the word ratio, which means fraction or decimal, right? So those are the rational numbers. And then we also have talked in this class about comparing the words rational and irrational. Rational, all of these numbers make sense. You guys understand what 25 cents is, right? You understand what half a pizza is. It's irrational when you try to think about the decimal pi, which is 3.14, and it continues forever, and it doesn't have a pattern, and it doesn't end. That's crazy, right? So rational makes sense, irrational don't make sense. And this will be on our first quiz that we have next week, exactly like this, filling in the blank, okay? And I am making a video of this, so it'll be available to you later.